Welcome, everybody. Thank you for checking out the show known as Doctor's Orders by the company known as Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff. We have the two owners next to us here. We have Nick and Jill. Jill, how are you doing?
Good. How are you today, Dan?
I'm doing good. We've had a crazy week or so of sickness running through our house, and Sam is upstairs in bed right now, and we think she just kicked a fever because she went to bed and asked for more blankets, and then about halfway through, they were all ripped off, and she was in a puddle of sweat. So
she needs less blankets and more blankets.
Yeah, so I'm on call, but we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's the flu or RSV or anything. So it was a weekend of one boy puking, one boy was not eating and sleeping the whole time, and then just me and Violet it's kind of stay away thing. So doing okay. Hopefully they're gonna get better. We have a Florida trip next week. We leave on Saturday, and so maybe the timing's just right, and it'll all pass, and we'll be good for the the trip. So doing okay, but
hopefully you're just getting it out of the way.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's that season, it just comes around, especially with school, and we hoped with me not being in school it'd be a little bit better, but hey, those boys are gonna bring it back.
They are. Yeah, all it is now is that you're missing like you're missing the omni immune system that you were bringing into the house before.
Right.
You're activating everyone's white blood cells on a daily basis with your close contact to students.
So hopefully everyone feels better soon.
Thank you guys.
Sorry to hear.
That's all right. And Nick, how about you? How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Pumped. We're busy here and we're ramping up for new release next week. Ramping up for stuff for the holidays, maybe some Black Friday, Cyber Monday surprises, maybe some Christmas stuff. We just all over the place, 10 directions at once, 100 miles an hour in all of them as per usual. But that's the way I like to operate. So I'm doing fantastic.
Always. And we're excited to tell you guys all about it. A little bit of it today on this show. We'll be able to give you some sneak previews and give you some highlights. And we have some good information. So if you guys don't mind, as you guys come in, looks like most of you have already. So thank you. Please go ahead and hit a thumbs up on the stream. And if you want to share it out, please go ahead. And you saw the question here. We're going to get AK Sir, the Frenchie.
Oh yeah,
he's here.
He's sleeping under the desk right now.
We'll pull him out towards the end.
If no one hears him snoring, I'm sure he'll come up and say hi.
He's here.
There you go, Habs. And
I'll turn on the speakers and I'll he'll hear his name and perk up and look up at the desk.
Yeah. We'll rest easy, young man. Rest easy there.
Never wake a sleeping baby. Everyone knows that.
Oh my gosh, and speaking of that too, I had to wake up my two boys for school today for the first time in the history of their lives. So they are still definitely kicking whatever they have. It hit 7 o'clock and I'm like, I don't hear them. What's going on? They were out upstairs and I'm like, I hate waking up kids. Hate
dudes.
Yeah, I know.
Little dudes.
Yep, they'll be all right.
Oh man, I'm pumped for today, man. This is gonna be a good one. We got so much good stuff. Like this is gonna be fun.
We got some gritty details.
We got some gritty details.
The good, the bad, and the gritty. And we do have kind of three main topics we're going to talk about today, which I'm super excited to go over. And we'll save the good, the bad, the gritty, the shea butter conversation for the last one. And so we'll start out kind of easy here first, which is going to lead into next week's show. So next week's show, I will be in Florida, but I will be here. I will be on. I'll likely be mobile, and Nick and Jill will be in from the studio. And next week is going to be a big week. This is something that a lot of time, a lot of planning, a lot of testing has gone into, and officially the water-based shower products line are going to drop on this live stream 1 week from today. Nick, Jill, what do we got going on as just a sneak preview? We don't have to tell like the super details or prices and stuff, but what is going down next week?
Okay, yeah, we'll just give a quick little show and tell.
Mock-ups.
We have mock-ups. So labels are coming in delayed as usual. I won't mention my sticker supplier until they start going on time, and then I can say nice things about them. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But what we have is body wash.
Oh.
We got the mock-up label going on here right there for the body wash number 7. We have that's going to come in an 8-ounce bottle. We have 2 sizes of beard wash. We have an 8-ounce and a 4-ounce option. So we have multiple options available there. Both look very nice. And then to sit right next to your beard wash, of course, you need a color coordinated yet contrasty bottle of beard conditioner. So there we have those, also available in a 4 ounce. So we got 4 ounce beard conditioner. We got 4 ounce, 8 ounce beard wash, and we have the 8 ounce body wash.
Is there anything else, Nick?
Oh,
one more thing.
There is. And that's not all. we we have our face wash in front of my face so it focuses. There we go. And our face wash is, man, this stuff. This is like, so I had some mock-ups at the house that we've been using. Obviously, as soon as we start testing something, we land on the last formula, I start using it every day. That's like my ritual with everything we sell. And so that way I know the initial onboarding reactions, how things go, what happens when they get consistent. And I've been using it every day about, I don't know, when did I ship you yours, Dan? About a month ago?
Yeah. Yep.
Something like that. And so I've been using it every day. And I ran out of it. And we had the supplies back here at the office. I ran out of it on Friday. So all weekend I had to go back to my old face wash, which was not a cheap face wash. It's made by Dermalogica. Very nice stuff. And Jill may or may not help me buy that from Sephora. And love it. It's good stuff. Lots of ingredients, which isn't my thing. And my skin was pissed. It was like, what is this? Where is my all natural oil-based face wash? And how come I feel so dry? I had to use moisturizer like twice a day yesterday to like knock down the redness on like my eyebrows and nose. Oh, I was a mess. So I'm already spoiled. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And been using all of them every day.
Yeah, I am super excited, and the show next week is going to be all about this, dedicated to launching them, dedicated to talking through the formulas and why they were chosen, why they were formulated, and really just giving you all the details. And thank you to anybody stopping in. Judd just stopped in here to say, grabbing the highlights, got a meeting in 8 minutes. Hey, we appreciate it. Just leave that thumbs up as you guys come through. Do
you need me to send you like an emergency email, Judd, where you have to, focus on something else that's really important for the next 45 minutes?
I gotta go.
Right. Yeah.
I'll send you one of those texts like, oh God, it's the school call. I gotta.
Yeah. Right. And Zach, it is going to launch next week on this show. So Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern is when those orders will open up. It may be a couple minutes right before the show, but Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 week from today. So we are excited, and we have teased it on the Instagram and Facebook, and lots of really good feedback by like the Bearded Florida Man says, looks great. Everyone loves the cleanness, the classiness, the black and white to it. And I couldn't agree more.
I mean, like, look at the stuff sitting in your shower, right? Just the little 4 ounce conditioner face wash combo. I mean, it's just like, it's a nice set. You know what I mean? Like it's got a good look to it. And it's just, I'm so pumped in the way these came out. It was a lot of fun getting everything together for it, and just literally couldn't be happier. Can't wait to get it on your faces and in the beards and on the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love how excited everyone, Zach says. I'm so excited I could do a backflip out of a perfectly good airplane.
That's my favorite line. He sent that to us in an email, and I was just tickled.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love the expression of jumping out of a perfectly good airplane anyway. It just goes to show there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So guys, tune in Tuesday, big day. We're excited for that. And then we have another topic we want to discuss. This topic actually came to us like immediately before the stream last week. Me and Nick hop on here usually about 20 minutes before, 30 minutes before. We kind of game plan, talk about everything. And Nick's like, dude, you're not going to believe, he was running a little bit late last week. He's like, you're not going to believe the meeting I just got out of. And essentially, we have wanted to line up with more barbershops, but we've wanted to do it the right way, right? We want wholesale. We want it for all the right reasons that Nick and Jill are going to talk about. And we thought one of the avenues to explore was talking to a distributor, because we have some good relationship with barbershops, and barbershops were like, hey, here's a distributor that gets products in all over the place. Reach out to this person. So Nick did. Nick made a contact with a distributor, and when Nick came in, he had just kind of this puzzled look on his face, and he's like, dude, you're not going to believe this of what they said. And when the distributor told me the information, told Nick, and then he relayed it to me, of how the process works for getting your products into barbershops through a distributor, we were all flabbergasted. And it's like we can't even like keep it in. We just have to kind of share with people. And
Oh, man.
please understand, this is not bashing any profession. This is not bashing any
No.
company, any brand. We just want to explain to you guys the transparency that we've said from day one that we continue to live by. And we want you to kind of understand the approach that we are taking with getting these products out to you guys and doing it in a very deliberate way, but a very authentic and genuine way. So Nick, take it from here. What was this conversation like? And just kind of our take back, our overall thoughts on attempting to connect with the distributor to get into barbershops.
Yeah, I feel like my eyebrows are still up from this conversation last week. Talk about eye-opening, right? And I mean, sometimes you find out information that you can kind of consider, positive information, good news, right? Something that's gonna like propel you further into what you're doing. Like you think something's gonna work, you find out that it will, and then you move to the next step, and all the good things that you imagine happening are happening, right? And that's one of the ways that these types of conversations with a new contact can go. The other way it can go is completely wrong. But with that said, kind of a fork in the road of that everything wrong, right? You can kind of see where you get a bunch of news that's against what you thought, and the path you thought you were going to take is not a viable option. And once in a while, that can kind of snuff out some of your plans. However, there's always that little fork in the road on that option 2, which is what happened last week, which is not the information you wanted, not supporting the path that you want to go, but proving that what you've done so far was correct. Yes. And that the things that you're going to do to get around it are going to be more impactful than the path that you thought you were going to go down with whoever you're talking to.
Absolutely. And it was like confirmation.
It really was. And I mean, it's almost like, it's one of those things where it was validating, right? It wasn't what we wanted to hear, but at the same time, it was. It's one of those very much it is what you make of it sort of situations. And this is where I think it's up to someone as a business owner to take the information they get and to either take it in a positive direction or let it discourage them, which I'm a hard person to discourage. Like if that was your job to discourage me, you'd have a very tough time being employed.
You are very persistent.
Yeah. Persistent's a nice word. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. And so, here's what we got. So we basically, we hooked up with a distributor. He's a national guy, but kind of focused in New England. He's been in the business for like 25, 30 years. Every barbershop in the area, if you buy barbershop supplies, you probably have or do buy them from this company. And everyone I've talked to on the barbershop side of the game loves the guy, right? Great dude. He shows up with his truck. He's got everything you could need stocked in his truck. He walks in and talks to you about products. You decide what you want. He walks outside, gets them, brings them back in. There's no shipping. He knows all of his, manufacturers really well. Great dude. In my experience talking with him as a person, he's a fantastic guy. Like I would sit down and have dinner with this guy any day, and learn about our industry. But when he got into how their distributor model works, it really connected a whole bunch of dots in my head. So, first of all, retail has a certain level of markdown, right, that you got to meet in order to let a barbershop make money on your products, right? No one's going to do anything for you for free, and selling retail products is no different. And we're used to that, right? We give our retail barbershop accounts a wholesale discount, and we have a fixed buy rate with them. And that's what they are able to then mark up and bring back up to retail. And the difference between what they buy and the retail price on our site, obviously, is their profit margin. Now you take that equation and throw in a distributor, and I'm thinking maybe he wants like a couple of points per unit, right? Like maybe I'm thinking, okay, maybe this guy's going to make 5 to 10% or something like that, which is fine, right? You think about marketing costs and the effort involved in onboarding new retailers yourself, and this guy's got to get paid, right? You got to put gas in that truck. You got to buy those fancy suits he's going to walk into all these barbershops wearing somehow, and I'm fine with that. But what I quickly realized is that it wasn't 5% or 10%. was upwards of around 40% of the wholesale rate that he needed to buy our products at. So if you see, okay, here's our retail, here's wholesale, this guy wanted to buy about down here. And if I really did the numbers, he's coming within 10% of our loaded cost of what he wanted to purchase, which is obviously not sustainable as a business model, right? And so I really got to thinking while I was on the call with him at first, and I said, okay, kind of ran through some things. And then I thought, after talking with Dan afterwards, I thought I must have had something backwards. I'm like, there's no way he's working with these numbers. Like, I must have misunderstood something. So I called him back. I said, hey, still interested in meeting up, kind of kicking some things back and forth with my wife. I just want to make sure for my notes that I'm relaying your information correctly. And I ran through the numbers with him with actual dollar amount examples. And he's like, yep, that sounds right. And I said, wow. I said, do you guys deal with any premium brands? Is my first question. I said, this might be our opportunity to come up with maybe a slightly different model for you, right? Do you work with any smaller brands? Do you work with any premium brands, right? Does that dictate any change in this model, the way that it works at all? The answer was a hard no, that he does not see any shift in the model happening. But he's like, this is what I really wanted to share with you guys, because this is what was so damn validating. He's like, Nick, he's like, he's a New England guy. He's like, so he's like, Nick, here, listen, he's like, I got a whole truck full of premium products. He's like, I got the best products on the market right now. And he gave me the name of his top seller. And I said, what's the name of your top selling beard oil? He's like, it's the best of the best. It doesn't get any better than this. And I'm not going to mention names because that's not what we do here. But I looked up the company, I looked up the product, and this is their ingredients list of their beard oil. Look at some of the stuff that's like right high up in this ingredients list. Some nasty stuff. And there's obviously some good stuff in here too. But you look at this mix of what category do some of these fall into here, Dan?
We have some like emulsifiers. We have some silicone alternatives. Like they try to act like a silicone, and just 100% just not necessary. They're just not needed in a product of beard oil. And especially when we get down there, multiple kinds of vitamin E's, and then we get into some of the fragrances and just some scary stuff that is putting on a face. And we know these products are out there, but like the crazy takeaway was he was combating your pitch and saying, I have the best of the best. This is premium.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where it got me thinking, right? So I know one of the shops this guy's in. And I know a bunch of the shops this guy's in, but I know right down the road, really good friends of ours. He's in their shop. And so I call my buddy up and I was like, hey, after COVID, they weren't touching many beards during COVID. So they kind of slowed down their wholesale purchase of our products. And I was like, this guy mentioned him. So I popped in my head. And so I gave him a call and I called him up on his cell phone. And I was like, hey man, what's going on? I just talked to so-and-so at your distributor. I'm like, great guy. He's like, oh yeah, great guy. And I was like, perfect. We both agree. This guy's a great guy. And I was like, his model wasn't exactly for us. And, but in that note, we think it's time we get back in yourselves. You were our first barbershop and you're the last one to come back on after COVID. Let's get back in there. And he's like, 1,000%. Put together a box. Let me know what I owe you. I'll have a check waiting for you. Come set it up. And so I was like, cool. And the question popped in my head. I was like, wait a minute. That's not going to piss this guy off for you, right? Like, I'm not going to create a problem for you by, getting stuff in there without you buying stuff that just comes from him. And he's like, oh no. He's like, you're a specialty product. He's like, that's different. He's like, you guys are a craft brand, specialty product, premium. I don't imagine you guys ever working with distributors, and distributors don't have any problem with us buying from self-distributed companies. And so what he actually drew the contrast. I'll pause here. Yeah, look at some of this stuff. That's
Film forming agent. And I just saw Jake's comment, yikes, won't go in my beard. You could actually take a razor to one of the strands of your hairs and be able to scrape off this kind of film after using ingredients like this.
How crazy is that? And one of the things he said that he liked about it, he's like, oh, it's one of the best ones. You put it in the morning, you can smell that stuff at 10 o'clock at night when you go to bed. And I'm like, that might not be a good thing.
Sometimes it is a good thing. And like, I do like long lasting smells. I'm not against that. A film forming agent, like that's exactly what it says.
It's what you want to avoid. Yeah, Jake, exactly. Pukes, but it's like, and so what really got me thinking though, and actually my buddy that owns this barbershop's the one that told me, he's like, look at our buddies that own craft breweries. He's like, you see them in bars where we know they're self-distributed and they're sitting right next to an Anheuser product, right next to Bud Light, Corona, Coors. And then there's, insert craft brewery A here. The distributors in the craft beer world have gotten used to the fact that there are breweries out there that are going to be self-distributed and will remain that way and are never going to be on a distribution line card. And I just checked with another owner of another brewery I know, kind of asking him some of his reasons for being self-distributed to kind of see if they were similar to ours. And he's like, his reply back was basically, with distribution, we lose quality control, we lose the influence with our retailers, and we become another commodity, just another bottle or a can on the shelf. He's like, we lose our story, we lose what makes us special. And he's like, so would you. He's like, I would never see you guys going to a distribution model for that very reason.
Yep.
And he actually went one step further. This other guy at a barbershop we know went one step further. He's like, I see you guys going the opposite direction, where eventually you're going to have like brand ambassadors that are working with either salons to educate them about beards so that they don't have to turn their customers away and send them to a barber. He's like, but also he's like working with barbers to help them understand like what should and shouldn't go in a beard and what products should people be using at different times. He's like, there's very few brands that have an advocation arm out there to really work with their retailers to help educate them, therefore, so they can educate their customers. So, it was one of those really weird things where it's like I said, it was a piece of news that kind of opened up like the door for 10 other conversations that make us realize that, the way we're doing it is the right way to do it.
Yeah. It's so important and so true. Like we have these meetings every week. We talk constantly daily, and we've talked about building this company like a lifestyle brand. We want you to be passionate. We want it from the ground up. We want it for all the right reasons. And we've had some other examples. But of course, if there's something that people are saying can help accelerate your brand, get it out to more people, we've had the temptation to flirt with that, to look at it, to explore it. But time and time again, when we go through those temptations, when we look through those other routes, we're like, we're doing it the right way. What are we doing? Let's give it time. And we are seeing it pay off. We're seeing more of you in the chat, more returning customers, more orders slowly, but we're in it for the long game. And that conversation, just like he said, just kind of validated like, whoa, that is crazy. We're on course. We're going to keep doing what we're doing here.
Oh, 1,000%, man. I mean, that's just, it's just more validation. And the more we hear back from you guys too, I mean, It's, especially some of the feedback that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. I mean, you guys are incredible. Like I'm confident, and I don't think many other brands out there, aside from some of the ones that are in this community, the ones that are also doing it right, which they're definitely out there, right? You look at some of these guys like Fable and Beard Octane and some of our favorite brands that are out there doing just awesome stuff that you guys love, and we like what they're doing too. And look at that audience compared to like American Crew, or I don't know, some other big, huge nameless brand. Like what's a big CVS Walmart brand?
CVS Walmart brand.
CVS Walmart big box brands. Acme Beard Care. We'll call it Acme. So think about Acme Beard Care, right? Can any of their customers, if they were sitting in a chair at a barbershop, tell someone sitting in a chair next to them why they use what they use and what's in it and why it's different? It'd be like, it smells good. I don't know. I get it at Walmart. It costs $5. Whereas I'm confident that any of you in this chat right now, if you guys were sitting somewhere, you would be able to do just as good of a job as Jill or I telling someone else about our products. And that's why we love this. I mean, why would we want to have this faceless brand when in reality, if you do things this way and you care about it, and the people that support you care about you, you guys are our advocates, and that's what we're building here. That's why I feel it's so damn good. I'm so glad we can keep doing it that way.
And we actually just met some guy last weekend or the weekend before, locally in our town. Really nice guy. Just had to shave off his beard. He had gotten some good growth down to here.
Oh, yeah.
The weather's changing. He started getting dry. He started getting itchy. He was told to use beard oil. So he went down the street to CVS, bought a bottle, and said the burn was so overwhelming.
He shaved it off.
He shaved it off and said, I guess I don't have a beard anymore.
He's like, I bought beard oil. It hurt so bad, I shaved my beard off. And I was like, dear
we encouraged
God.
him to grow it back, and we're going to be giving him some of our products.
Yeah, we're going to sponsor his new beard and get him to at least, get him to feel like he can get past that little first couple stages of growth with some starter product for him.
Yeah.
And we're just glad that we're not sitting on that shelf of CVS for someone to go, oh, God, this stuff. I'm just going to shave it off.
Yeah. No,
we didn't have to lose any quality or anything like that to bring our products to you guys.
Yep.
No, so I love that.
Yeah, and I'll take it even a step further when Nick was talking about giving feedback, and then you guys can educate people sitting next to you, and then you have comments like Mark that says this is why we have to share the products on social media to get more eyes on the products. I would say to keep a brand, to keep it at quality, you'll hear companies talk about scalability. You'll hear companies talk about streamlining, and that's all just a matter of reality. That's a fact when you grow. One way to be able to keep these quality ingredients, right? We had Guns and Beard said when your product is cheap with cheap ingredients, you can afford to throw away 40%. You're correct. That's a fact.
Bingo.
But when you have quality ingredients like Dr. Nick's and like some of these other amazing companies have to grow, you can't do it by giving 40% of it away to a distributor. It's just not possible. No. And so the only way that this company can grow, the only way that it can succeed and do well long-term is by you guys doing things like sharing on social media, like telling people. And that's what we want to tap into. That's what we hope you guys feel the difference. You see the difference. You're passionate about the difference. And it just happens naturally. Not us begging, not us asking you. No. It's just something you want to do like Mark did there.
Dude, and Mark, you're dead on. And some of the stuff you guys have done on social media, I mean, I say thank you every week for it. I'm going to keep saying thank you. When this chat has 1,000 people in it someday, I'm going to just keep saying thank you every single time because, the stuff that you guys put out there for us, it's better than anything we could write. It's more genuine, and you just have no idea how valuable it is. Like if I read those things, if I'm upstairs in my office, still, however many years in we are to Dr. Nick's, I have my phone in my hand and I run downstairs and I read them to Jill. Like, just so you know, like when Dan forwards me things over, when I see him pop up on Instagram, when we get a Judge Me review left through email after a purchase, it's not like one of those things where we're like, okay, in the box, in the box, in the box. I read every single one. I read them out loud to Jill while she's cooking dinner.
The world to us.
They literally do. I mean, it makes our day every single day we get those. So yes. It's huge. They don't go unnoticed at all.
So keep sharing. And one of the reasons why it means so much, especially to Jill, especially to Nick, is because so much goes into making these products. It's not, hey, let's throw a couple things together and see how it works. For example, we're going to talk about beard butter today. You guys are going to get to understand the layers that go into making a product, maintaining a product, and keeping it at that level of quality. And this isn't something that's just, hey, let's throw this together. If you guys could have seen the versions of beard butter that Jill had tested out with the different ratios of oil to butter, different butters, different oils, different things that go in there, it's absurd. And so when it works, when you guys enjoy it and it's helping your beard, man, that's such a fulfilling comment that you can leave for somebody, just make their day better. And I think that's the perfect time to go into the good, the bad, and the gritty. We're going to kind of go over a concept. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
One point that I wanted to just address with Leo, when you talk about self-distributing, marketing directly to barbers, a slightly different game. It is. And you know what I've started doing, Leo, is I've realized this is another reason why the self-distribution model works, is that I pick like maybe 4 a month. And I put them on my list. I'll start off with an email. Once in a while, I'll get a call back. Once in a while, I don't. Once in a while, I have to then call and reference the email. And I try to kind of go close to a couple other shops we work with so I can reference them. And I give them a call and I tell them about what we're doing and why we're different. And literally every single one of them, I'll have to be proven wrong still because my streak is still happening. I haven't yet talked to a barbershop on the phone, owner to owner, that has not placed a wholesale order after I go there in person and show up for the meeting.
Powerful.
I have a 100 out of 100 closing ratio percentage right now with barbershops. And that's another reason that my buddy owns the brewery. He's like, dude, imagine if you are part of, 18 boxes on a truck and someone's like, yep, we got this list of beard stuff here. Which one do you want? Versus you calling them up, telling them your story. And then I go in there and clearly our products work. And I go in, everyone sees the beard walk through the front door with a box full of beard stuff. And they're like, oh, it's the beard guy here with some beard stuff. and I never leave with the product I bring. And so I think for that reason, I love sticking with that model, even if I can only connect with 4 new ones a month because of time. I think, like Dan said, I think the slow roll is the way to go there. And every single one of those shops that sells our products, when they have a customer that asks about it, they can safely say, yep, I met the owner. It's made right here. It's all natural. It's a husband and wife team. This is why it's cool. And I think you should try this, or this, right? And I think face to face does make all the difference. And so Leo, what you're saying there, you're dead on. And I think it is different, but I think I actually like that. And I like the personal interaction. I like going to the meetings. I like getting out of the shop and going to meet people. And I see someday, like this other barbershop, Sims, I'll say it, Sims, Nate at Sims Barber Lab in Boston. He suggested that kind of, brand ambassador program where we grow and we have people that go out and meet with barbers and customers and hold some workshops and other stuff for barbers and salons. I love that whole thing, keeping it, very boutique. And I think it's just obvious direction.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And Leo's right. Said barber convention, trade shows, and of course, man, no doubt. There's a lot.
That's definitely the next step.
There's a lot of legs that can grow from there. Yep. No doubt.
I think Dan and I are going to be at a lot of beard or barber conventions next year together.
Let's do it.
Can't wait for the first booth. We got stuff to fill up a booth now. We got shower products. We got the beard line. We're going to be able to have like
coming up in the game.
We'll have the whole display case going.
Watch out. So awesome. So with that, the main topic that we wanted to talk about today, right? We had those 2 side topics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those, just kind of learning. We think that there's a lot of value in us pulling back the curtain and you guys can see what we think about, what we talk about, what we go through on a daily basis. Well, one of those things was developing the beard butter. Jill going through so many different versions, me giving feedback, we testing it, and then finally landing on something that all 3 of us were super proud of, absolutely love. And then there are things that come up and there are things that are along the way. And then you have to evaluate. Do we change course? Do we stick to what we're doing? Is there a reason behind this stuff? And so I'm going to kick it to Jill on this one. And we're just going to kind of talk about shea butter specifically and the beard butter and some things that could happen. Maybe it hasn't happened for you. Take it away, Jill, however you want to start it.
All right. So we were talking about shea butter and how temperamental it is. Literally. So shea butter is very grainy because of the fatty acids in the butter, and they need to be melted down just right in order to it's not recrystallize, but they want to form back together, and they actually get harder after being heated up when they cool down if they're not fully heated down all the way. So we were finding when we were first formulating, it was pretty hard to control some grit until we learned a few things about temperature control and stuff like that.
Yep, there were some post-process steps that you took that really helped.
Yep, some post-process steps and some cooling techniques and stuff like that in order to get a nice, smooth butter. But talk about how many variations we did. I was playing with percentages, even tweaking as low as 2% in different ingredients to move around. You don't make these leaps and bounds. You don't want to do a 10% difference,
right.
2% at a time. And it was creating some insane turnouts. We were getting very waxy turnouts when there is no wax in any of these ingredients, but some of these butters, when played at a higher percentage, actually turn into a wax and that you can't get out of the tub.
Yeah. It's like you gotta like punch it into your beard by the time you're done getting it ready.
And the meltdown and the oils and being too greasy and all that. So it's funny with shea butter and grit control, it is a temperature thing. So if anyone finds butters in any line of products that you like, other brands and stuff, if you do find that you run into some grit, Dan has mentioned before this amazing video he has that's very helpful of a meltdown cool process that can really help, because unfortunately we can't control what happens when it does leave here. We did a lot of testing over the summer where we were leaving our products in our shipping bags, like out in the sun, to see what happened and if we could turn them back into a solid product, I mean. But yeah.
And what's crazy is, so after all that, right? So Jill figured out through help of Dan and kind of just, again, formulation, trial and error, she figured out a couple of things during the process, the heating and mixing processes, that really did help prevent some of the binding of those acids inside of the shea butter to one another and help prevent some of the crystallization. That's right when we got to the point where we realized we did have a perfect ratio, because the feeling in beard when it was right was dead on right. And it's what you have today. It's the exact formula. We landed on that. We stuck with it. And what ended up happening is we figured out that there's some things like the temperature exposure, once it's done, can then cause that issue to happen again. And so maybe 1 out of 10 right now of the orders that have shipped out in the past 3 weeks have had some micro grit questions come back. And we look at the shipping addresses, and they're Texas, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, those sorts of things. And so hot climates. And we know for a fact that from either sitting in a mailbox, sitting in the back of a mail truck, right out on the delivery, there's obviously things out of our control that introduce less than optimal conditions if you want to prevent grit, right? The product still melts down, the grit goes away, everything's fine. But what I like, and what you guys like so much about this butter, is that it's so damn smooth, right? It's like dead on perfect. And so, of course, now we figured out some things that we can do additional to our mixing, blending, heating process involved in the post-processing. Like if you're looking at audio, right? You're like live audio recording. There's some things you can do while you're recording, and then there's things you can do in post-production to help clean things up. We are basically talking about those sorts of post-process procedures, and those dramatically improve the tolerance that our butter had from a temperature exposure perspective. But it doesn't make it immune to temperature differences, right?
They are natural ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't use any preservatives,
no
or anything,
stabilizers, no emulsifiers,
nothing.
and stuff. And emulsifiers and stabilizers would definitely help fix this problem, right? If we wanted, you could throw it in a mailbox for a year and probably not have much difference. But that's, at that point, you're no different than a double cheeseburger from McDonald's that you leave on the windowsill and it's still edible 6 months later, right? And so we obviously don't want to go that way. And so we think what we wanted to talk about today was, well, one, what we went through to get to what we have right now, which is kind of some of the stuff that Jill just told you about. And then two, what we are going to do and what we're not going to do to help those tolerances or to help some of the exceptions to a good experience, right? And I think so some of those things that we did post-process, like some of the things you figured out, those really, really helped. I mean, that helped stability a lot, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it is the cooling process.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the cooling process. And I think anyone else out there that runs, another brand that does anything with beard butters is probably like nodding their heads right now going, yep. And so, if we're managing by majority and not ruling by exception here, right? I think we have a widely successful blend and process that we really like. And just to jump to the end, we're sticking with it, right? We're not going to change anything. And I think if we had 5 out of 10 that were having issues or something like that, then maybe we need to look at alternatives. But I think the issues we've had have been the minority. And I also think that the issues we've had have been solvable, right?
As well as out of our control to some extent.
The good news, hey, it's November. It's almost Thanksgiving. It's cold.
Order your butter.
Everyone should have perfect butter coming up here over the next couple of months. Everyone should be looking great and feeling great, all that good stuff. And like to Dan's point, he has a video about how to heat these butters back up and then how to cool them properly. That'll eliminate any grit that forms, especially with ours, because even when it does form, it's so small, it barely even noticeable. And the people that have reported back some issues to us, we pointed them to Dan's video, but then we also followed up with, listen, your good experience is not your job, right? If you're willing to take those steps and try it, fantastic. But we've also offered replacements to those people as well. So we've kind of said, hey, if you want to do it and it works, great. If you don't have time, aren't comfortable with it, let us know, send it back. We'll send you out a new one.
And we'll do the expedited shipping like we had to do to that southern state, because we were fearful that the time in between was what might have been leading to a bit of that.
Yeah, and we just wanted to make sure someone had a really good experience to match the rest of our customers. So we literally just ate the cost and sent it out to them, I think overnight or 2-day or something like that.
And
so
we overnighted that one.
Yeah. So as usual, we will sacrifice ourselves for the for someone's good experience, but
except at a 40% margin.
except unless it's at a 40% margin, then we're gonna have to let people start taking some lumps.
I'll stick with the flat rate shipping.
That's right. Yeah, but no, I mean it really is. I mean, so Dan, in your experience though, give us some of your feedback was obviously invaluable when we were formulating this, and when we were experiencing some of these things. I think you've seen this issue not even just from a shipping problem, but you've seen other companies that it's just an accepted necessary evil that sometimes it gets shipped out like that.
Right. And there's been every version imaginable of trying to combat this. Leo and others have mentioned like people putting notes in their products to say, hey, if this melts down and solidifies in a bad way, do this. And this isn't about that. We're just trying to explain the process behind this. We're trying to explain why it happens, the steps that were taken on this end, because we ultimately don't want that onus to be on the consumer. We want to get you that perfect product every time, but there is going to be a small percent where it's just inevitable, and just kind of trying to explain it's not a bad thing, and it does happen. But yeah, we've had companies that designed bottles, containers specifically so you can put it in the microwave and melt it down, and people didn't like that. And then we've had companies put stickers over and say, put it in the fridge when you get it, don't open it. We've had companies try, just about everything you could imagine. And I did a video about why whipped butter is essentially going away, and real whipped butter. And the main reason why is because once it melts down, you can't bring it back to that state as a consumer. It's impossible. No. You just can't do it. And so I put out a question of, hey, does anybody have any thoughts, any advice? A lot of people like really light butters, but it's challenging with the melting. And almost unanimously, everyone said get refrigerated trucks. And it was a very frustrating experience trying to explain how business works in text and explain why a small batch, small beard company literally does not have the ability to choose to allow for refrigerated trucks to do that. And they're like, well, this company does. And it's like, you got to understand that these are coming as individual orders from this facility going out to the consumer. There's no control over that. It would be possible, but the cost of these products would go up 100x. It would be absurd the amount that it would cost.
Yeah, if people are cool with paying $250 a jar for oil, I will make sure to deliver it with a refrigerated courier.
Yeah, absolutely. And Leo's right here. He says that oftentimes it's not acknowledged that it's a natural result. Oftentimes it's not acknowledged that it's not a problem. It doesn't change the quality, doesn't change the performance. None of those aspects change. They just want to complain. And we do understand that, though. We want to make sure we're clear. We understand that you're used to this smoothness. You wanted the smoothness, and we know that happens. And there is another thing that I want to touch on. Dr. Nick's is a very amazing, unbelievably nourishing butter. It's going to melt down super easily, but it is a full body butter. There is a little bit of natural texture to it. And I've tried to explain that to a couple of people that sent me pictures. There's a difference to me of that solidification where you get those beads, where you get that actual like grit, where the problem for me is when you have to start chasing it between your fingers. You try to melt it down and it's like, oh, let me go get this. Let me get that. Dr. Knits naturally has a little bit of texture to it. It's not just straight up like butter. It's not like sticking your hand in some margarine, right? It has some body to it. And there is a difference with that, which is intended and is purposeful, than the change in the melting and then solidifying again. But Leo's right. It's all 100% natural, and it's just how nature works. When you have those different fatty acid profiles, when they want to join together at the different cooling points, it's just inevitable.
Yeah, no, it is. That's dead on. And to your point about the body, I mean, the first few additions you came out with were a much lighter butter. And we decided after using it in my beard that it just didn't have the staying power to be like an overnight butter. Or if I really needed some extra moisture during the day, it didn't really hang on as long as I wanted it to. And so getting a full body butter that wasn't greasy and didn't pull your hair when you pulled it through, that was honestly the most challenging part for you. I mean, I was super picky when you were testing these on me.
Yeah, I even had one that you kept saying, no, I need beard butter, not beard lotion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was a huge difference to think about there. It's been huge though.
And we let all batches of butters sit after going through our cooling process, sit for 24 to 48 hours at room temperature, just to ensure perfect quality and making sure our cooling process did go properly. So by the time you're getting it shipped out, not only has it been quality checked more than once, but right before I put it in that mailer for you, I'm like, all right, good batch. So we check them all before they go out, and just hopes that they get to you in the same condition.
Yeah,
absolutely.
1,000%.
And then to kind of piggyback off of Carbomb's comment here, he said, I would rather have a light butter with a little grit than a hard product that you have to dig out. I agree entirely. And that's going to lead me to something that I want to just make sure is super, and we kind of touched on a little bit here there, but super duper crystal clear for everybody to hear. We have addressed this. Jill has really looked into other options to get around this, right? If we could make the same quality product, the same intended product, and not have any of those concerns, we would do that. But
1,000%.
with the things that were looked into, this shea butter was just really important and really key. If you want to touch on that, Jill, where you looked elsewhere and then came back home and said, you know what, we have it, and we're okay with all of this.
Pinecone Pete was not impressed.
Pinecone Pete was not impressed. Great kids book, by the way. So I even did a batch where I took the shea butter out completely and kept the rest of the ingredients in there at a higher concentration. Immediately, a thick, waxy paste.
Yeah, like someone said, you had to literally, it was really
like
hard to
hammer
get it out of the container. It was almost like a bomb.
So then I went back to our regular ratio and just dropped the shea butter by 2%, hoping that if I upped something else, it would maybe lighten up the potential grit happening.
Yep.
Same thing. So the importance of shea in our beer butter, it's not just the nourishing. It does add to that consistency and that smooth spreadability that you guys get out of our butters. Mm-hmm. So it was no questions. After I even trying to find something similar to replace it with, it just was not even in the same realm of the same product in the end. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then here's some good feedback here too. Stock up in the winter months, right? And it's cool. I think it was in the 20s in Texas yesterday. Guns and Beard, let us know, because he's down in Texas. I had a buddy who sent me stuff, and it was like 29 to 32 degrees. So yeah, super cold. Hey man, you're not gonna have butter problems in that situation.
No.
And Nick's Beard, I mean, 1 4-ounce tub of our butter got you a month and a half.
Oh, almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months worth of daily use.
Yeah.
In this length. So have no fear. If you stock up, you might have enough butter for a year.
Yeah. And even though it lasts for almost 2 months, I still think that's the right size, is the 4-ounce tub.
Yeah.
You know, I do.
That was the other thing. Doing, what about a smaller, 3-ounce? Will the ratios change throughout the sizes and stuff? I mean, we've played with it all. We promise. This is.
But I guess our commitment in this is like based on the feedback that we've got from this butter. I mean, I don't know if everyone else who sells butter gets people saying such nice things about their butter as we do.
Nice things.
But I can safely say that we will never change a damn thing about it. if this is the reaction that we're getting, right? We want to make sure that we keep it just like this and make it as stable as humanly possible by tweaking any of the processes we can without changing the formula and without changing the feel, both in your hands and in your beard. Because I mean, I think this has been like a game changer for some people.
For sure.
And we've also found it to be very multi-purpose, more than just beard budding.
Yeah.
Which we'll touch down on another time.
There we go. And they said that they had a freeze warning in Texas, and today they're in the 40s. They said this is cold. And how funny is that? Like we'll get warnings at like what, -20. They'll start to give some warnings out there. They're getting warnings at 32. Like, hey, it's about to freeze, and we're like, oh yeah, it's November. Yep, we got it.
Yeah. No one tells us when it's about to freeze. Yeah, we had 74 on Saturday this past weekend, and today we woke up it was 28. So it's just. Yes, guns and beards, absolutely. We've already kicked those around. We should be, I imagine by the end of this week, we'll be dropping those out on the socials. And we got some good stuff planned. We got some good stuff for both single products, some bundles. I think we have something specific to Black Friday probably also happening. So we got some good stuff in the works.
Yep, absolutely. And we do have a little bit of time left, guys. So if you guys have any questions about shea butter, about beard butter, about talking to distributors, talking about what is premium, right? What is high quality, barbershops. Oh yeah, maybe you have a question for Sir. Look at Sir.
Maybe. Oh, he was just taking a nap.
He's a little sleepy. He's got his grouchy face on.
He's got his Game of Thrones bandana on today. It says winter is coming.
Winter is coming. So this is House Stark right here.
I have recently learned about the like cult following of Frenchies and just like how much of a like community it is. Like, so my daughter, we've probably seen every Frenchie compilation video on the internet. My daughter Violet is
you too.
She is obsessed with them, absolutely obsessed, because my mother-in-law, who has one, and also, you know, when it rains it pours, the whole house is sick. Other than me and Violet, my mother-in-law had surgery yesterday. She had a stint taken out, and then she has to have a more major one coming up in a couple of months, but she's doing well, but she's not able to come over and watch the kids or anything. So it's like when it rains it pours. But she has a French bulldog, and it has just brought a wave of obsession by my daughter. A wave. She does not stop talking about Lily and does not stop. And I've learned this whole world of Frenchies, and that they're like, for me, we were always like Humane Society people. We got all our dogs, all of our cats, Humane Society.
Me too.
French bulldogs. Whoo, those are not so much Humane Society pups.
No, they get snatched up pretty quick, and you know, it's funny. He's his coloring. Everyone always comments about his colors. He's called a black merle. That's
a big Frenchie, and he's a moose, right?
He is. He was supposed to be a 15-pound dog. He's a 35-pound beast. Like this dog's got biceps. Like, look at this.
Good meat.
Yeah, he's a beefy dude. He is. It's so funny though, because like he's just. Like the other day, you know, I had like a migraine going on like Sunday, and I'm sitting there taking like migraine meds at night and trying to, you know, so I fall asleep on my chair upstairs in my office, and he came upstairs and got me. So he came upstairs. He's like, Dad, Mom's in bed. You're not in bed. Why aren't you in bed? And he comes up and he bites my toe, wakes me up, and then he's like pawing at me to come downstairs. It's just so like they have so much personality. Like. They can talk to you for sure in their own little way.
They're philosophers in clowns' clothing. Clowns in philosophers' clothing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He looks so, you know, professional, but he's a big goober.
He is.
Yep. Brings a lot of joy to our lives.
Oh,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I wonder what Travis has.
30-pound Frenchie there with somebody. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Travis is tiny compared to my 3 dogs. That's funny. Travis is by me.
Dude, it's funny too. Yeah, because like, you know, to us, of course, you know, you get used to him. He's like a big dude, like this little lump of a dog. And then you get next to someone's like actual big dog, and he all of a sudden turns back into like this little teeny dog again. It's like, oh, okay, I guess he is small.
Well, I had 3 different bull mastiffs growing up. So
wow.
I definitely know large dogs. Our biggest was Bo at 220 pounds.
Oh, that's more than, or that's
he weighed more than Nick.
Wow.
He had to sleep on a twin size mattress because there was not a dog bed he'd fit in.
No,
Wow.
he was a big dude. He was a super big dude. Oh man, but yeah, I think, you know, so just to kind of wrap up, right? We hit the shea butter stuff. We wanted to talk about distribution. We wanted to talk about the kind of contrast between other industries and that. What didn't we cover? We got some new scents coming up for the holidays, which we'll probably be able to share more on next week.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the products coming out next week that will be dropping live on the show. That's exciting.
And we got our mailers in.
Oh yes,
you guys can have the good, bad, and the gritty.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the gritty, and the UPS. Yeah, you know, we love our UPS guy, Sean. If you're watching, you're a really good dude.
Thanks for dealing with us.
But you know, up until things get to Sean, things can have issues, and that's another funny part about being a small shop. Like everything from labels to our mailers to our base oils to our packaging, everything. I mean, it's all, if you really looked at like the single point of failure in like our supply chain, you know, manufacturing to consumer process, I mean, it's UPS. It's UPS and the Postal Service. It actually does bring me to my last 2 points here today. One, you know, we are just like when you order something on Amazon and you're like, where the hell is it? It was supposed to be here by 8 o'clock tonight. It says out for delivery and it's not on my doorstep and it's 10 p.m. That does not change with a commercial account. It doesn't change when you're buying things wholesale and in bulk. And if anything, it gets worse because you're dealing with higher volume people that expect you to have a tolerance for delays.
And nothing we use is on Prime.
No, and it's not like anything we use you can just grab off the shelf anymore either. So we're always waiting on shipments in one way or another. Like this week, we're waiting on labels. Everything else is ready. Bases are ready. Bottles are ready. Everything's ready. Labels, they were supposed to ship 2 days. They shipped ground and they shipped a day late. So now we get them like a week late, right? It's just, you know what rolls downhill. And then another piece that I think we did want to touch on, just for anyone who is watching that may or may not have experienced this. So for a long time, we shipped with Priority USPS. We used the Priority 2-day service from USPS. And they're expected to go back down, but right now the rates went way up. Like it used to be like $5, like we broke even with shipping. It used to be like $5 and some change. So we lost a couple cents per shipment. It went up to like $8. And, you know, we're thinking about maybe providing the option where if someone wants to pay for priority shipping with tracking, they can, and it's an upcharge. And then our standard shipping is standard first class mailers up to £1. You know, $5 covers it for most. It's a little under for others, but it evens out. The one thing that's a downside about using, you know, a shipping service like USPS standard first class is that tracking is very, very hit or miss. So sometimes people will send us an email saying, hey, I see that my label was printed. I see that but I don't see it as picked up. And then we look back in our shipping history and we see the other batch of orders that went out that day and everything else shows active tracking. And then one package, 2 packages won't. It'll just say label created, even on our end. And we know nothing's sitting on our desk, on our fulfillment desk, right? And the post office swears up and down to us that nothing stays in their building once the building is closed. They can't have any packages there.
They're not allowed.
They all leave on a truck.
But we did find something out about how they scan them through.
Yeah. So what happens when they're scanning them through, if it gets to the end of the day and they're scanning, they can keep scanning, but they stop updating at a certain point. Like the database that gets updated with the scan-ins basically closes at 5. And they don't always finish all their scans before 5. And if something gets scanned after the database updates, the truck manifest that needs to get picked up will have it on there, but it doesn't get into the tracking system. And if it doesn't make it into that one, it then doesn't know to get updates every time it's scanned along the way. So you could very well have a package from us that shows label created, and it'll say that until it's literally in your mailbox. You might have it in your hand and it might not even show as delivered. Usually it updates on the last touch where it gets
went
delivered.
to the last facility it reaches before it reaches you.
But not always, you know. So it's just understand that tracking with us, it's one of those things. We do our part where we create the tracking number, we insert it with USPS, it shows as a good label. And we always drop them off. If you've ordered after 12 o'clock one day, but before 12 o'clock noon the next day, your order will ship that day. Like Monday from noon to Tuesday at noon, your order will ship Tuesday afternoon. And so 100% of the time.
and most times I'll also check before I leave to make sure there's nothing left in the queue.
Yeah, and she'll grab them.
And throw it into my big bin that I have to bring down to Scott down at the post office, who loves getting giant bins of our products.
That he does. And so anyway, it's just one of those weird things that you deal with. Like one day when we have a huge UPS account and we're delivering all these things, UPS ground parcel or something, that might be different. But until then, we're all dealing with it. The same. Yeah, I do that same thing, Garrett. I'm like, I know you have something on the truck for me. Open up the back. I don't care if it's raining. Like, let's get it out of there.
That is hilarious. Hilarious. Noah said he remembers you sent my order with some things you were returning.
Oh, it must have made it into UPS.
Yeah, something happened.
Oh, that was
there.
a while ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, Noah.
Growing pains, man.
Right. Too funny. Well, awesome, man. I appreciate everybody in the chat adding to the discussion, giving the feedback. There's always comic relief from the comments, and we appreciate that so much, you guys. And feel free, as always, reach out anytime through email, through Instagram. We are here for you if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you have feedback. Next week is going to be a big one, launching the shower products, the water-based products, maybe going into some detail about Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. So please try to tune in next week, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you. Nick and Jill, take it away. Last final words here.
Oh, man. Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody. Pumped for next week. Pumped for the holidays. I'm already sleepy from eating too much turkey, and it's not even week of yet, but I'm really looking forward to my future turkey coma. And until then, just like Dan will be doing, just enjoy one of Dan's favorite drinks here with your sparkling water. If you watched Command's Corner, it's his favorite. Make sure to send him all your photos of you enjoying good sparkling water too. He really, it does a lot for him. It really makes his day.
We're going to ship you a case to your house just so you don't run out.
You savages, along with the Christmas tree Reese's.
That's right.
Exactly.
All your favorites.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you
Bye,
so
guys.
much.
Have a great
With
week.
that, I'll stop harassing Dan. Thanks, guys.
All right, bye, guys. Have